My girl likes listening to punk rock fast and loud while I'm doing stand-up for comedy crowds. She have a cocktail and she sips it slow while I'm chugging Miller Lite like it's H2O. She's watching murder docs up late at night while I'm yelling at the game in the pale blue light. She doing yoga poses, just lying on the floor while I'm out on the golf course yelling for. I'm not sure who to blame, love or Cupid, but I know I love you, stupid. I may be wrong, but I'll never tell. And you may be right, but you can go to hell. And I may be ugly, but you can't prove it. And one thing I know is I love you, stupid.
Hello, everybody, and welcome to another episode of Love You, Stupid. I'm Joe Prano, joined as always by my soon-to-be wife, Charlotte Wolf, a.k.a. Stupid. How are you, Stupid?
You're fucking stupid.
How's it going, baby?
A little hot.
You're a little hot?
I'm a little hot.
I like your outfit. You went with a little leopard vibe today. You look great.
Thank you.
You get your shoes on, which I love so much.
You
said you wanted to talk about
You're
it.
a chauvinist pig.
Why am I a chauvinist pig?
You.
Yeah, he.
He.
My mom would say she's the cat's mother or something, whatever the fuck that means.
Hate all flats, and I'm like, oh, so you only want women to wear heels? And you're like, no, but just like not flats. And I'm like, well, what does that entail? So I'm only supposed to wear high heels or sneakers.
My thing is or boots or booties or whatever. My thing is always like, I understand flats are more comfortable. So it's like, if comfort's your game, just be comfortable.
Okay, so I can wear sneakers.
You wear sneakers
or heels or dress
boots.
like fucking Mojo Jojo.
I don't know who's Mojo Jojo.
He's the evil monkey on the Powerpuff Girls.
What does Mojo Jojo wear?
He wears like little tiny bootlets.
Sounds hot. I'm just not a big fan of, like, if you're going to go comfort. Wear your Vans, wear your...
That beer burp was strong.
Did I burp?
Yeah. Smell it from here.
I love your shoes. You got some, like...
You told me this morning you hate them.
I just think they look like dainty versions of something that...
holding this up to camera.
Russell Crowe would wear.
Gladiator.
In Gladiator.
It's fashion. These are from Bergdorf Goodman.
Wow.
Suck my dick.
Okay. See, you were like, how do you think the first episode went? I was like, pretty good. I'm sure we'll find our footing in episode 2. Episode 2, the first time she told me to suck her dick. A big part of this show is obviously going to be focused on how I, like Superman or Prince Charming, swooped in and saved you from the hellscape that was the LA dating scene. But let's play, I want to play a little hypothetical game because there are people out there who still are bumbling around and hinging around. I'm going to give you a would you rather, would you rather date? And you have to tell me which you would rather date, okay? Would you, if you weren't with me, the love of your life and your soon-to-be husband, would you rather date somebody who is 5'9",
okay,
or someone who listens to every episode of the Joe Rogan Experience start to finish?
5'9".
Okay, 5'9".
I'll date 5 foot even before I date every episode of Joe Rogan.
Okay, 5'9", or has a roommate.
5'9".
5'9", or snores loudly every night.
5'9".
Short Kings on a hot streak here. 5'9", or drives a Cybertruck.
Pause on that. I like my privacy. I like my rest. That's more important than height.
Okay.
Also, I don't want to have someone talk to me about how the Mayans invented cell phones or whatever the fuck and only eats meat. Like, fuck that.
5'9", or drives a Cybertruck.
That's pretty obvious.
Okay. 5'9", or wears Crocs. Unironically.
That's tough. That's tough because the 5'9" doesn't bother me.
Mm-hmm. but it's not a choice.
No, but what if, like, trying to think of a tall king. Who's a really handsome, very tall man?
Who's a hand? Where would we find one? Where would we find like a 6'4"?
If like Jason Momoa was
Okay.
like milling around in Crocs, I'd be like, that's fine.
Okay. So where's Crocs? We're going with where's Crocs.
Sure.
Okay. Where's Crocs or is a cop?
Crocs.
Okay.
I would rather date a Croc than date a cop.
Where's Crocs or pronounces it supposedly? He knows it supposedly. He's heard people have corrected him. He knows it. He's like, I can't help it. I've just gotten so comfortable saying supposedly. I try to correct myself, but I just say supposedly.
Is this racist?
No, this isn't racist. the person I thought of when I wrote the joke that I have about supposedly is a white person.
Okay.
I don't even know what race you would be insinuating that was, to be totally honest with you.
So they just can't
They
can't
just say
pronounce it.
every time they say
But
supposedly.
they know that supposedly is the right way to say it.
Yeah, but they say supposedly. We're
Talking about like people who like say library.
Yeah. Like my brother says iron instead of iron.
It would probably
Wears Crocs or says supposedly.
Crocs.
Okay. Wears Crocs or is a hardcore gamer.
Crocs.
Okay.
I don't have time for that.
Wears Crocs or wants 5 kids.
Crocs.
Wow. Wears Crocs or smokes crack quarterly. He's not a crack addict. He does not smoke crack with regularity, but about once a quarter he smokes crack.
Every 3 or so months, he's
Every
like,
3 or so months he's like, hey, listen, I smoked crack again last night. And you're like, well, are you going to smoke crack tomorrow? He's like, absolutely not.
I think it would depend on the environment in which he was smoking crack. If we're like smoking crack alone in
Crack
your
or Crocs. Crack or Crocs.
in your house, then like maybe crack.
Crack over Crocs.
Maybe crack.
Okay.
Yeah.
Smokes crack quarterly or thinks Diddy's been framed.
Crack.
Crack.
Yeah,
Okay.
for sure crack.
So you're basically, I mean, if you were still in the dating game,
I probably dated men who smoke crack quarterly.
if you were still in the dating game, you're not ruling out a guy who smokes crack every 3 to 4 months.
I don't want to hear about how Diddy is somehow innocent. I'm good on that. I'd say crack.
We had a good run for the short king there. We had a good run for Crocs. But in the end, crack over Crocs over
Crack
short
over
kings.
Crack always wins.
Crack is not whack if it's quarterly.
I don't know if you can smoke crack quarterly. I'm not sure that that's a thing you can do, but in theory,
In
it seems
theory.
all right. Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
You said you think you may have dated someone in the past who smoked crack,
Probably.
like with regularity.
Probably.
Okay.
I dated someone who smoked meth with regularity before I met them.
But they were a recovering meth addict.
Well, I guess you're always recovering, right?
Right.
Yeah, correct.
So they were a recovering meth addict.
Sure.
Sure. Okay.
Can't be that much worse than
You know what? You know what?
Adderall and Ambien.
That's right. My favorite part of this is like, if you dated first of all, if you dated somebody that is a recovering meth addict and you're willing to date somebody that smokes crack quarterly.
Sounds like a aficionado magazine.
Yeah, there crack smoker quarterly. It's like cigar aficionado, but it's just like the
Artisan pipes on the cover.
You know how like
Yeah.
cigar aficionados always got like Arnold Schwarzenegger with a cigar or fucking James Gandolfini with a
Someone
cigar.
in like a fucking city corner
Just somebody like on the front of their yacht, crack smoking.
just burning tinfoil.
crack smoker aficionado. It makes me feel like there's no amount of Miller Lights that I could drink where it would be problematic.
I mean, I'm also like fairly sober now.
Yeah.
So I think my expectations from my early 30s and 20s have changed in what I expect from a partner. So I don't know that I'd be overjoyed to find out that you were smoking crack quarterly or that you were on the cover of crack quarterly.
But that's what I'm saying.
You know what,
If
though?
I-
That could be really good press for you. So I wouldn't be against the magazine cover. But maybe you should start smoking crack.
for just to get on crack smokers
Quarterly.
aficionado.
Yeah.
Um,
I should manage you.
yeah, that's it should be you're like, I should get into PR. I can get a lot of people on crack smokers quarterly.
I know a few really good candidates.
What is the craziest drug that you ever tried?
Hi, Mom.
Now, you've told me the story many times, and therefore your mom obviously knows the story about when you got like sent home from school for having cocaine. How old were you?
I got caught with cocaine at 14, and I had smuggled it onto an airplane. I don't know if I can say that. It entered no hole, but I did just put it in my pants pocket and walk through Miami security. And somehow didn't get caught with that, but they did find it on me.
Well, you
at
had like
school.
a little baggie of coke.
A gram.
Yeah, I mean, you might not be able to get on a plane in Fort Worth, Texas, with a gram of coke, but like Miami, they're like, you could buy a gram of coke at Hudson News at the
Probably
Miami
wouldn't.
airport.
I probably could have been pulled into secondary, and they wouldn't. They could do that swabby thing,
Right.
and they'd be like, "You're fine." You just trace amounts
so then
of
you
cocaine
got back.
in the
Then
air.
you got back, and you had it with you at boarding school.
Yeah.
And then you got caught with it there. Mm-hmm. And you got suspended, kicked out of school.
I got suspended for 3 weeks, campused for 3 weeks, and then the next 3.5 years were pretty shit. I got random drug tests, which they only ever did once, and I just told my nurse, I'm like the school nurse, whatever, was always there, and I was like, "Am I supposed to get random drug tests?" She's like, "Yeah, let's do that right now." Other than that, it never happened. But yeah, don't let your children go to Miami with rich kids for Thanksgiving break if they go to boarding school, because they are not supervised, and cocaine is interesting.
And for full disclosure, you're basically sober entirely at this point. Like, you'll have a cocktail thing. You don't do anything.
I
You don't
haven't
smoke
touched
weed,
cocaine.
You don't do drugs.
Yeah.
You barely drink. Diet Coke is about as wild as you get
I haven't touched cocaine since I got caught doing cocaine.
as a child.
Yeah, I just did a lot of it within the span of 3 weeks.
Yeah.
I wasn't sober after that, but never cocaine again. And yeah, I mean, I take edibles to sleep. That's about
Sure.
as wild as I get now.
Yeah. Some CBD heavies and yeah.
But I also went to art school, so I feel like that's
It goes without saying.
yeah.
When you were growing up, you were born in New York, raised in New York, and then grew up like in upstate New York,
Connecticut,
upstate New Yorky,
yeah.
Connecticut. What's like, and you're like you're into punk rock, and what's the scene in like the tri-state New York, Connecticut, Massachusetts area?
So sad.
When
I was a
it like
kid-
going to Woodstock and shit? Like you have to go to like Bethel Woods to like see shows?
No,
and
it
shit?
was so lame. Like when I was a kid, that's when like ska punk was a really big thing too, which is like really cringy to look back on. And it wasn't really my scene, but that's what all of like those kids were doing at the time. So you'd go to like New Milford's youth club or something, and they'd have like some stupid all ages show, and most of the bands were terrible. But then you
They're
get
like, we have Beige Flag, a Black Flag cover band.
some shit like that. Like it'd just be like a bunch of like rich kids, or like the thing with Connecticut too is it's the most, or at least it was the most like economically skewed.
The
state.
richest parts of Connecticut
Yeah.
and the poorest parts are like.
So it was always a really weird mix too of like kids who like clearly just like their parents bought them instruments because they could afford it, and they had like built some like insulated garage for them to practice in or something, and then kids that just like it's all they had.
When you were in like high school or college, you ever was there any of your friends' dads hot? Any hot dads?
No
No hot
hot
The reason
dads.
I ask is I put a call out for questions, Dear Abby style questions onto a forum, and I got a very interesting one. So somebody sent us a Dear Stupid. You ready?
Yeah.
Dear Stupid, I think I'm falling for my best friend's mom. I'm 29, she's 48, divorced a few years, and somehow hotter than every Hinge match I've ever had. It started innocently. My friend asked me to help him move her into a new house. We didn't quite get everything moved in one day, so the next morning I moved the last few boxes myself because he had work. I complimented the playlist she had on, which led to a 15-minute convo about music. Later, she complimented my physique and asked me about my gym regimen, again leading to a long convo. And suddenly I was like, oh my God, am I hitting it off with name redacted's mom? After I was done, she insisted on taking me out to lunch as a thank you. She made me order a beer, said, quote, you earned it, and I ended up having 3. She had 2 sangrias. The conversation was easy and fun. If it had been a date, it would have been my best date ever. And when she hugged me goodbye, she smelled amazing, and I got nervous butterflies. She's smart, funny, emotionally available, question mark, question mark, question mark, and makes me feel more seen than women my age.
Nope.
What's that?
Nope.
But obviously my friend is a problem. He has no idea. I don't even know how to begin that conversation. Quote, hey man, your mom has way better taste in music than you. Also, I might be in love with her.
How does he say his age?
29, and she's
Okay.
48. So it's a 19-year age difference. He ends, do I shut this down before it turns into a MILF rom-com, or is it worth the risk if I think this is something real? Signed, Oedipus, but with therapy.
I don't know how the therapy helps, if that's still the issue.
I don't know.
It's conflicting. If he was like 18, I'd be like, you need to call the police. Or like
If he was
under.
18. And also, it doesn't sound like she did, like, it sounds like they just hit it off. But he could be misreading that, or she could, or, you know.
There's still weird power dynamics in that. That said, if you swap the sexes, I'm sure there'd be a lot of people defending it.
But I think it's more, I think people would be more comfortable saying like, oh, because.
But a 20-year age gap isn't that weird for if the man is 20 years older.
But a dad of a daughter's friend is feels like a weirder.
It's creepy.
It feels like
but it's
weirder.
also creepy in this.
And this is from his perspective. He doesn't say that she did, but basically
I want to know like what kind of dates and what kind of dating you've done prior to this. Like, yeah, there's a lot of like boring, shitty people out there, but like I feel like with dating, you kind of have to treat it like a second job to get anywhere. Where it's just like, I'm going to go on a lot of dinners and it's going to be really shitty for most of it, but like there might be some like fun dates and there might be some cool people. And you have to like seek them out. You can't go on like 6 dates and be like, everyone sucks, and then fuck your friend's mom. Like, that's crazy.
He's 29. He's probably been dating for. Well,
You don't know that.
Okay, let me ask you a hypothetical because I think there's certainly a weird dynamic here, but I would say the advice would be like, I mean, don't start texting your friend's mom or don't like slide into your friend's mom's DMs, but like. Maybe if she like actually pursue, like if she messages you or texts you or gets your number from her son and like, if this is real, I think then you can like start, I don't think he should do anything.
That's the other thing is you just don't know if this is just like how she is with her kids' friends because she's being supportive and you're reading it as she has like some interest in you. And if you like move forward with that, that could be really
Compliments
bad.
his physique.
I don't know. You could be like, you're a strong young man or
What's
whatever.
your gym regimen? I don't know.
I don't know.
But the hypothetical I was going to say is when you were on the dating apps in LA, I was, I think, 43 when we met.
Right.
So what was your age range set at?
You don't want to know.
How high did it go? It obviously went to 43. And you were 32 at the time.
I'm mentally ill, so I'm not a good example.
Okay, but
I mean,
and by the way, this is separate because obviously the age difference isn't the only thing.
That's not even so much the thing. It's like your friend's mom,
right?
And the boundary there. That's more of an issue. If you just like met a 43-year-old lady or whatever on like
48,
yeah, whatever on 48,
29 to 48, 19-year difference.
I mean, a great question is, do you want children?
Right.
Because that's not happening.
Well, okay. Again, what was your range set at?
When I moved to LA, I had it set to 60.
You're insane.
Well, I was like, maybe there's like a really like in shape, like wealthy,
Let me ask you something.
cool
What
guy with a boat.
What
I don't
man?
know.
What man was in your mind? What man was in your mind? You were like, he's 58. I would like I feel like there was a celebrity or something, and you were like, I would date.
I mean, there's a lot of hot 50-something celebrities, like Pedro Pascal's 50 or whatever. Not that I was expecting to see him on Bumble, but I'm like, it's LA. People are generally in good shape. Like, if someone's young at heart or whatever, like, I'm open.
All right, so let me ask you a question. You had it set to 60. Okay,
I did change it.
Okay, let's just go 19-year age gap. You were 32 at the time.
Mm-hmm.
You match with a man who's 51.
Right.
You start going out. When we started going out, we realized like a couple dates in that we had the exact same birthday, different years, but same day. You're on a date. You're hitting it off with this guy. He says, I've been in LA for like blah, 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 etc. And then your second date, you're like, where are you from originally, by the way? And he's like, oh, upstate New York, Connecticut. And you find out
He's
the dad of one of your friends from high school.
Fuck them. I don't talk to them.
Okay. So
I'm your mom now.
So just the fact
You
that
were shitty to me in middle school. Guess what, bitch?
I'm gonna fuck your dad.
Come over for dinner.
So it's the fact that he's like currently friends with this guy.
Yeah. I can't really imagine a scenario where if you're like close friends with someone, they would be cool with you like hooking up with their parent. It'd be weird. I have to think. I mean, I have a strained relationship with my dad, but like if like one of my friends was like, your dad's hot, I'd be like, you're out of your fucking mind. Like, yeah, I can't really picture it.
Okay. My advice is I don't want to poo-poo on love for this man. Maybe this is his legit. I don't believe in soulmates, but I think you got to sit back and you got to be like, listen, if Tim's mom or whatever texts me, I'll like refresh this thinking.
Have fun railing my mom, dude.
Yeah. Well, but if she texts me, then I'm going to be like, hey, man, your mom texted me. We did hit it off. I'm taking your mom out.
I think there's something different about like your mom's into me than there is about like I'm trying to
That's
bag
what I
your
was
mom.
saying. Yeah, exactly. That's why I was like, the ball's got to be in her court.
Right.
That's my advice for Oedipus. But
I don't want to
therapy.
poo-poo love or like yuck anybody's yum, but at the same time, like I don't believe in like soulmates necessarily. I think there's like multiple different options for everybody because the person, like people like move to like some shithole in Nebraska or whatever, and they're like, I found my soulmate there. It's like, no, you just found someone there because you were looking.
I mean, I used to do a bit on it where it's like, oh, your soulmate just happens to be like your height, like just slightly taller than you.
The one that Nikki Glaser stole?
What's that?
The one that Nikki Glaser stole?
It might be, isn't it?
Yeah, she's the like, oh, your soulmate like statistically is in China.
Right.
Yeah.
Yes, it is the bit Nikki Glaser stole.
Yeah.
You're right. Thank you for reminding me of that.
You're welcome.
She'll never be on this show. Yeah. But I mean, here's the thing. Like, you're my person. I know that.
Mm-hmm.
Like, but I'm not sure when I was 34 and you were 23 that you were my person. I don't know.
Yeah.
I don't know what it would have been like if we met.
You probably weren't
like,
my person then either.
Yeah.
And like the other thing too is like, yeah, it's like, let's say something horrible happens tomorrow and you get hit by a rogue train.
Trains are like the one vehicle that doesn't go rogue.
Well, I'm trying to keep it very hypothetical because I don't want to get blamed if you do get hit by a rogue train.
Right. Rogue car, rogue plane, rogue drone.
Train went rogue.
Rogue train. How did you get hit by a train? I was in Venice. There's not even tracks there, and just roguely went through town.
He was surfing, hit by a rogue train. I would obviously be devastated, but at some point you move on with your life and you find someone else.
Yeah, you would never find somebody better, but you'd find somebody else.
Sure, we'll go with that.
Yeah.
And I just don't think that your friend's mom would be like the be all and end all. And I would maybe get some more therapy and look at what's going on with you, or if you're suddenly opening eyes to your friend's 48-year-old mom.
We have one more of these. You want to do one more?
She
This
probably
one?
has to use estrogen cream. I don't know if you're prepared for a 48-year-old woman's body. It's very different.
By the way, 48-year.
And there's no shame in that, but everything changes.
I will be 46 next month, so this 48-year-old mom is 2 years older than me.
Do you have like testosterone cream for your balls? I don't.
No,
see
I
it.
don't. I just have the ringworm cream for my shoulder.
For your
that you
ringworm,
give me.
yeah. That I gave you.
Well, you didn't give me ringworm,
Yeah.
but you did give me the cream.
I might have given you ringworm.
This is why I don't go to the gym, by the way. No, 25 years, never going to the gym. Also, 25 years, no ringworm. Fucking 6 weeks in the gym, ringworm.
It's disgusting.
We've got one more, and it's kind of serious, but I think
All
it's a good topic worth discussing today. Today in like the world today, and it's also, I find it very interesting. Dear Stupid, I've been dating someone for a few months and everything was going great. We click emotionally, physically, and we both make each other laugh, which is rare for me. But then the topic came up: Israel and Palestine. We were watching the news when I made a comment, and suddenly it was like I'd triggered a landmine. Turns out we have very different positions, not just surface level stuff, but core, deeply personal beliefs. It got heated fast. Since then, every political convo feels like we're trying not to cut the wrong wire while defusing a bomb. We've tried to avoid the topic, but it's now the elephant in the room. I'm scared this one issue, even though it's a very big one, is going to derail something that felt really promising. Is it possible to love someone whose worldview clashes this hard with yours, or am I just trying to build a future on opposite sides of a never-ending comment thread? Signed, 2 states, 1 bed, 0 peace stocks.
I'm like, it's such a touchy.
It's
subject.
touchy. My initial response is this: it's such a touchy issue, and it's such a nuanced issue that no one handles with nuance, that it just feels like there's no way, unless you have your stake in the ground, or you're unwilling to move it, that there's not a common ground that can be found about this situation, no matter what your political position is.
I think it depends. But it takes 2 people, and that's the thing, is I think with everything, no matter how much bloodshed or tyranny or like fucked up shit, in order to find solutions for conflict, you have to be willing to have conversations with people you don't agree with.
Right.
And if that can't happen, nothing will happen. So be a good fucking example to the world and be open to hearing people and open to having a respectful conversation about it. There's so much screaming and belligerent craziness and just like virtue signaling that I find really disgusting, considering like how many people are actively dying and have died, that it's not fucking about you. And that's the other thing. Like, it's not about you, but you can be open and have those conversations, but that's you. And if the other person can't, then let them go. Fuck them.
Yeah, I just think it feels like, based on the question, that they both must be people that are like I'm not moving. Where it really feels like even this topic, you can find some middle ground. There's some middle ground, and I think that if you can just find one piece of the issue that you guys agree on, start there, and then like work to the outer edges where you guys obviously both exist.
I would look at it as like a bigger picture of your life too. And like, if you can't, it doesn't affect you. It affects other people, and that's horrible, but it doesn't affect you. So think about not being able to compromise in something that really does affect you. It's probably not a good formula for success.
And that question wasn't actually real, and it was just a thing about making the bed. I just wanted to find some middle ground about us making the bed. No, I'm just kidding. That was a very serious question, and I think an interesting question for for today. Babe, that's episode 2 of Love You Stupid. Did you have fun?
Yeah, am I boring?
I don't know. I guess we'll find out. Guys, if she's boring, put it in the YouTube comments or
comment boo.
Boo.
Stupid bitch.
Just write boring.
Yeah.
Well, that's episode 2, baby. If anybody wants to follow us, they can follow us on Instagram at LoveYaStupid, LOVEYA Stupid. We're on YouTube. We're on all the podcast platforms. We're on Substack. We're on all the things. So follow us, rate, review, and subscribe to this podcast. Love you, stupid.
Love you, stupid.
I may be wrong, but I'll never tell. And you may be right, but you can go to hell. And I may be ugly, but you can't prove it. But one thing I know is I love you, stupid.